All right, so today we're diving into a really chilling story that was actually sent in by one of our subscribers, a guy named Vineet. It's all about his time working the night shift at a call center in Gurgaon. And trust me, what happened there is the stuff of nightmares.
So let's just get this out of the way immediately. The story makes a pretty bold claim from the get go that this is all based on a true event. Vineet, the guy who lived through it, absolutely insists that every single thing he and his friends experienced was real. So our story kicks off in a place that sounds totally ordinary, right? An office building. This particular one was the Saffron BPO, located in Udyog, Vihar, Gurgaon. And the setting for all of this? The night shift. You know the vibe, a world lit only by glowing computer screens with the constant low hum of people on their headsets. Our narrator, Vineet, was working there alongside his friend, Samar, and he says the feeling was just total isolation. Inside this big hall, it was a beehive of activity, calls coming in and out, but the moment you stepped outside, it was a complete ghost town, a deserted industrial park. It really felt like its own little world, just totally cut off from everything else. Okay, so let's introduce the person at the very center of this whole story. In the cubicle right next to Vaneen and Samar, there was a young woman. Her system name, the name she used for work, was Rose. She was just there, a quiet, constant presence on their shift. And by all accounts, Rose seemed totally normal. In fact, she was the perfect employee. Always on time, super efficient, even the office's top performer. Yeah, she was reserved, kept to herself, but she was always pleasant. If you said hi, you'd get a little smile back. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had any reason to think anything was wrong. And then you have the night that changed everything. It's around 12:30 a.m., and Rose gets a call. Now, that's not weird. It's a call center. But this call, this one, was different. Your average call might last, 10, 15 minutes? Rose was on this one for hours, just speaking softly into her headset. The whole team started to notice. It was just not right. So the team leader, probably worried something was wrong, decides to listen in on our line. And you know what they heard? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Total silence. There was nobody on the other end of the line. And the second the call was tapped, Rose slams down the phone, glares at everyone with this sudden crazy anger, grabs her bag, walks out, and that was it. She never came back. After Rose stormed out, she basically just vanished. 3 days pass, not a single word from her, her phone goes straight to voicemail. So finally, the team leader decides to go to the address Rose had put on her hiring forms, just to check if she's okay. What the team leader found out, it's just beyond belief. The people at the address, and later her actual parents, all confirmed the exact same impossible fact. Their daughter, Rose, had passed away almost 8 years ago. 8 years. And that's the question that just hung in the air that night. A heavy, cold silence just fell over the entire office. I mean, think about it. They'd all seen her. They'd all talked to her. She had a computer, a login ID, a desk chair. If Rose had been dead for 8 years, then who or what had been their star performer? After that revelation, you can imagine, the entire vibe of the Saffron BPO just shifted. What was once a normal, boring office became a place filled with fear. And that's when the really strange stuff started happening, one thing after another. The terror just started to build. First, it was phantom footsteps echoing in empty hallways. Then it got way more intense. An agent ran screaming out of the washroom, swearing she saw Rose's reflection in the mirror, but with blood-red eyes. Security checked the pantry's CCTV footage and saw the shadow from the water dispenser stretch and warp into the shape of a person. But the final straw, the thing that made Vineet's blood run cold, was watching Rose's old computer turn on by itself, log into her account, and then, just as quickly, log back out. Now remember Vineet's friend, Samar? He'd been the skeptic through all of this, trying to rationalize everything, probably just refusing to believe it. But then came a night when Vineet was on leave. Samar was there alone, and he was about to have an experience that would make him a believer. So it's about 3 a.m. The shift is almost over. An internal call rings on Samar's phone. He picks it up, and this familiar, chilling voice comes right through the earpiece. It was Rose, using her standard work greeting. Samar, totally terrified, just slammed the phone down. The second he hung up that phone, the lights in the whole office just flicker and die. Total blackout. Everyone else starts heading downstairs for a break, but Samar is just frozen at his desk, panicking. And in the faint moonlight coming through the window, he sees it. Rosie's empty chair, right there in front of him, slowly spinning all by itself. He bolts to the pantry to splash some water on his face as heart is just pounding out of his chest. And that's when he feels it, a presence right behind him. A girl's voice whispers in his ear. In the pitch blackness, he spins around and sees nothing, except two glowing red eyes and the faint outline of a very familiar face. It was Rose. Then the lights flicker back on and she was gone. That was it. He was done. Samar grabs his bag and runs for the elevator. He gets in, alone, trembling, and hits the button for the ground floor. But when the doors open, he is not in the lobby. The elevator has opened into some kind of nightmare cemetery, filled with dead bodies, all of them just staring right at him. And right there, standing among the dead, was Rose. She starts walking towards him, taunting him, asking why he doesn't say hi anymore. Panicked, Samar is just jamming the closed door button, but nothing's happening. He curls up in the corner, shuts his eyes, and just prays. A few seconds later, the doors open again. The next shift's employees walk in, finding Samar in a heap on the floor, shaking like a leaf. But for them, everything was normal. He was just in the ground floor lobby. As soon as Samar got home, the first thing he did was call Vineet and tell him everything that had happened. The very next day, they both quit. They never, ever set foot in that call center again, determined to leave the memory of Rose and Saffron BPO behind them for good. It wasn't until a few weeks later that Vineet learned a key piece of this whole puzzle from his landlord. The land that Saffron BPO was built on, well, it used to be a cemetery, one that had been torn down to make way for the new office buildings. Suddenly, a lot of things started to make a horrible kind of sense. After they quit, things slowly, finally started to get back to normal. Samar got a new job, and the two friends almost managed to forget the terror they'd gone through. They really thought it was over. But it wasn't. One night, months later, at exactly 2:45 in the morning, Samar's phone suddenly lit up. It was an unknown number. He ignored it the first time, but it just rang again. So he picked it up. At first, all he heard was silence, then that faint crackle of static, like a really bad connection. And then he heard the voice. And here is the truly terrifying part. To this very day, that call still comes. Every single night at 2:45 a.m. on the dot. So where was this call coming from? He finally got the number traced, and it belonged to the Saffron BPO, the same call center that was now abandoned, permanently closed, completely empty. The haunting hadn't stayed in the building. It had followed him home. And every night when Samar is forced to answer that call, he hears the same impossibly clear voice on the other end of the line. "Hello, Rose this side. How can I help you?" It's a question with no answer, a call that never, ever ends.